Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thoughts with Pops, Episode 2. I'm Pops, your host, Caleb Poppell, and today, I don't really have that many thoughts planned out. I'm just kind of ramble on about some things that come to my mind, and as they come to my mind. One thing that might be a little different for some of y'all is that last podcast, I constantly referred to this as Pops in the Morning, but when I published it, it was Thoughts with Pops. That's because literally in between like the time I recorded it and the time I put it out, I decided I don't want it to be that. I want it to be something simpler. So I came up with Thoughts, and I think I like the name Thoughts a lot better than Pops in the Morning, just because, one, it got posted at 1 in the afternoon on Tuesday, which is going to be like the regular time for this. Just a heads up on that. But also, I mean, Pops in the Morning is like a really like closed, defined name. And it's like, I don't know. I don't want to be defined to one thing. It's like, I have a lot of different ideas of what I want to do on here. And I think that constricting myself to like morning talk show is really not what I want. For instance, there's one podcast out there that's all about sports. I used to listen to it for soccer stuff. I mean, I don't know. That's the only sport I really watch. But it was like the title of it made it so that way, if they ever wanted to do anything else, they wouldn't really be able to do it on that podcast. They would literally have to create another source. And that's not really what I want. I want to be able to use this for as much as I can. I mean, really though, the whole purpose of a podcast is just to have a good outlet, at least for me. I like to just talk and let my thoughts go sometimes, which I think is a really beneficial thing about a podcast. If you're not doing a podcast, and you want to try it out, a little bit more on that later. But also, if you're local to where I am in the Richmond, Virginia area, then hey, maybe we can work something out and we can come together and I can have you as a guest. That's something that's really cool. I want to get into guests like really soon because I can talk for a long time by myself. I don't have like without getting interrupted. Any of my friends will tell you that I can talk about something and I can just keep going. I don't have to stop. Like what was it? Yesterday I was at church and me and one of the guys there, we were talking about music. And I literally talked for like 10 minutes straight about music. I mean, granted though, we were both like into music. He's in he's like one of the main singers. I play in the band every now and then. So we both like understood like the basic constructs, but there's just something different about it when I talk for 10 minutes straight. And it wasn't that I wasn't allowing him to speak. It's just that he's very cool dude, very respectful. But he kind of just let me talk for 10 minutes. And I realized I did that. And I was like, this can't be possible. But at the same time though, when we talked for like 30 minutes total, and the other 20 minutes were like back and forth conversation about stuff, and that's kind of like what I enjoy doing more. I like having conversation with people. I don't like just having myself, because listening to single person podcasts or like TED Talks or something can get boring a lot of the time. I find that I can be extremely funny, but a lot of the time my humor or like the things I do that are funny are because of like gestures that I make, movements. It's like physical comedy, or it's like bouncing off what somebody else has said. That's new. What somebody else says. So if someone says something, I might have like a snarky comment about it, and that's like the whole concept of the joke. And I don't know. I want to get into stand-up comedy. I think that's something that I could really do well. The only thing with that though is that I would have to figure out how to make a joke work without relying on something else, because that's something huge. I mean, there are comedy. I almost said comedy artists. I guess you can call them comedy artists. Yeah, I would say that. I like that, but I would look if I were to be a comedian, which is what it's actually referred to as. I would not want to be called a comedian. I want to be a comedy artist, because wait, is that what they call comedy writers? Would that be a comedy artist? No. I don't know. Oh, cartoon animators, comedy artists. Boom! There you go. Okay. But back to the conversation at hand. Um, there are a lot of comedians who do rely pretty heavily on like moving around the stage and gestures that they make. For instance, Gabriel Iglesias. I used to watch a lot of him when I was younger, like early teens. I thought he was hilarious. But a lot of his stuff relied on you being able to see what he was doing. He has this one story about I think he was in Vegas. I think that's what he was talking about. And like if I was just listening, I wouldn't have been as comprehensive of it. I still would have gotten it and I still would have laughed. But there's just some aspects of it where you need to see it. Or John Mulaney has a special on Netflix, and in it he's talking about, was this on Netflix? I don't think this would be allowed on Netflix. I think I watched this on YouTube actually. Don't listen to me. But he was talking about the one time that he went for a doctor's visit. He ended up like going in, doing all his tests, and then he said that he had to get a colonoscopy, which if you know about that, they stick fingers up your butthole. Um but yeah, he like bent over the thing, and then his face was like the main part of the joke. So if you're just listening to that, it's not going to be as funny. You're just going to hear him make an awkward noise. But when you put the awkward noise put together with the face that he's making, that's when you really get the joke that he's intending for there to be, which I think can be a big issue for some comedians. I feel like a lot of the time some people rely too much on the appearance. For instance, there's another podcast that I listened to. I mentioned it last time, the Courage and Nate Shot show and Self-Made with Nate Shot. He did an episode on Self-Made with Elevate and Cease, who were the second or third place winners of the Fortnite Duos World Cup event, and he was talking about their outfits, and it's like he had to describe it, but luckily I understood everything that he was saying, like the certain articles, because this is like high-end clothing. So for some people it might be hard. If you hear an off-white t-shirt, you might think that it's like a white t-shirt, but it's not pure white. It's kind of like almost cream, almost eggshell color. But if you saw it, you would have been like, hey, that's a black shirt, definitely, because off-white is the name of the brand. And I think that that's one of the big downsides to podcasting in general, as it's mostly an audio thing, and a lot of like content consumption, I guess, is based on the visual. Which is one reason why I kind of want to get this going into a video format, just because I think that it would allow me to do so much more. Granted, it would take away from it would just make everything I say true for myself, where I would be relying too much on that video aspect at that point, and I would kind of take away from what I do now, which is like kind of just me rambling, talking, and you don't really have to worry about what I'm doing. Granted, I am shaking my hands a lot, but that's just the way I talk. When I'm laying down thoughts, I kind of just shake my hands, and I don't know. It's weird. Whenever I start talking about shaking my hands, I shake my hands a lot more. Which, this is a point. If you saw me right now, then you would see that I am shaking my hands furiously right now, just because that's how it is. That's the way it goes right now. I don't know. That's just one thing for me, where sometimes I can get a little upset about that. I wouldn't say I get upset. I don't really get upset at most things, but it's just something that kind of irks me. It rubs me the wrong way. I'll get over it eventually. I mean, it's my own personal thing that I have to get over. You just probably just heard me crack my knuckle too, but I don't know. I have a few other thoughts on that, but I'm not going to go any more into that. I've been talking about that one thing. I've been talking about my anger with movements for a little too long now, but who knows? I don't really, I don't know. I don't know. Stand-up comedy would work good for me. A lot of people, not a lot of people, but I've had people tell me that it's something that they think I would thrive in, I would do good at. So I've not thought about doing it. I thought about doing it at a church event, but I feel like I would just recycle jokes, and I don't know. What was I listening to last night? I was listening to somebody talk about how they started off their career, and they talked about how they started in like a comedy, like stand-up comedy, and the room started off with like nobody in it, like less than a handful of people, and then in like 4 or 5 weeks time they were averaging like 150, 200 people. I forgot who it was. I really wish I remembered. It might have been a Twitch streamer named Ludwig Ogden. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's either the G before the R, or the R before the G. I don't really know though, but yeah. All right. So real quick, we're gonna go into a little sponsored segment, and then we will be right back with thoughts with Pops. Hey guys, real quick, I just want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors over at Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other platforms such as Google Podcasts and Overcast. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So, if you want to get into the world of podcasting, I would really suggest it. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey guys, so today I decided that I want to start a new segment on the podcast. I don't have many segments. It's really just me rambling for however long I decide to go for. But recently, I've been watching a lot of movies, a lot of good ones. I've been making a list of them, and I said, wow, I have a lot of opinions on these movies. Let me do movie reviews. So that's going to be what's happening. It's going to end up falling somewhere in the middle of the episode, typically. Maybe it'll come at the end, depending on what I'm talking about or if I have a guest or whatnot. Some episodes might not have one. This episode does have one. And today's movie is a movie called Every Day. I watched it on Hulu. I thought it was great. It's directed by Michael Suxey. No idea who he is. But the description that it gives you on Google when you Google the movie is 16-year-old Rhiannon falls in love with A mysterious spirit who inhabits a different body every day. Feeling an unmatched connection, Rhiannon and A try to find each other on a daily basis, always unsure of what or who the next day will bring. Soon the realities of loving someone who is a different person every 24 hours starts to take its toll, leaving Rhiannon and A to face the hardest decision either has ever had to make. It sounds like it's a bleh movie, honestly. If I'm just kind of reading that, I might not watch it. It sounds interesting, though. This is kind of the type of movie that I like, where it's like kind of romantic, I guess. I like that, like action. But the cast for this movie is actually really good. As Angourie Rice, I think that's how you pronounce it. She plays Betty Brant in the Marvel, like the MCU Spider-Man movies, which is really cool. Has Justin Smith. He played the kid in Detective Pikachu. That's Owen Teague. I know him from something else. It also has Debbie Ryan, though. So this cast is honestly really good. I actually enjoy it a lot. But when I watched the movie, there was something about it. And it was just, I don't know. Because it kind of like, the fact that A is a different person every day kind of makes the situation weird. But then like halfway through, they find a loophole to everything, and it kind of takes away from the aspect of him having to be a new person every day, which kind of ruins the movie. I kind of just spoiled something huge. Holy frick. I don't know if you picked up on that. If you didn't, don't go back and re-listen to that. It's not going to be important. If you want to watch the movie, it's available on Hulu, like I said. You can also stream it on Amazon Prime Video, YouTube, Google Play, Vudu. But I mean, Hulu, if you got it, is the way to go. It's rated PG-13. It's an hour and 40 minutes. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 62%. IMDb gave it a 6.4. I believe when I rated it initially, I gave it a 7.2, which is a little bit higher than these are going. But I don't know. I didn't watch a trailer or anything. I literally just watched the movie. I saw the cast and I was like, they got big name people. It's got to be a pretty good movie. Big name people act like Justice Smith is like the biggest actor out there right now. But it's good. I really liked it. If you watched the movie, leave your thoughts down in the comment section on YouTube, or if you want to, I'm going to be creating social media for the podcast. The DMs for that are always going to be open. You can just direct message your opinion on the movie if you want to do that. That would rock. Or you can just DM it to my personal. I realized that I've never really done that. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling about other stuff now, but I mean, hey, this is my thoughts. I don't know. I would recommend this movie to anyone. It's honestly up there on the list of movies. I have a list of like 20 movies right now. They're all really good. This is actually really good. I actually enjoy this. But that's all I'm going to say about the movie. I give it a 7.2. Every Day, starring Angry Rice and Justice Smith and Owen Teague, Debbie Ryan. Oh, forgot how to speak there. Watch it. Leave your thoughts. And yeah, that concludes today's movie review. Hey guys, I want to let you all know real quick that I am also having a sale on all of my old merch right now. All you have to do is just go to teespring.com/Caleb-Poppell. It'll be in the show notes down below or in the description if you're listening to this on YouTube. All you have to do is just type in the promo code THOUGHTS at the end and you can get 25% off. I'm going to be getting rid of most of these designs really soon, and I'm going to be putting out some new stuff. So if you like anything that you see, such as the insert bottom text or the box logo or maybe even the Pop-Tarts logo, this is going to be your last chance to get it. So if that's something that you want, now's the time to get it. 20% off using the code THOUGHTS. So recently, you guys, I made an Instagram account for the podcast. It's at ThoughtsPod on Instagram. I haven't made any other social media for it just because I don't really use any other social media. I mean, I use Snapchat, but that's kind of like a dying thing for me personally. But the reason I'm telling you that I made this Instagram account is because if you go and follow it, I'm going to promise you that there's going to be some good stuff on it eventually. For example, if and when I make merch for the podcast, I might do giveaways. I might do discount codes for that. As you just heard, I have a discount code going right now for some of my old designs. So if that's something that you're kind of interested in, you might want some free stuff. I know if I hear about there being free stuff, I tend to hop on the opportunity. Go ahead and follow the Instagram for it. I'll make sure to put the @ for it in the show notes and the description on YouTube. Also, the cool thing about it is that you can actually message it with like reviews that you have, any questions you want to do. I'll also be putting up when I'm doing Q&A episodes and I can ask for questions. You get shout outs that way. And if you message it with a review or you leave a review on a post, there's a pretty good chance that it will probably get read on a future episode, which is something I really want to do. I don't want to make this just something where I wouldn't say I put in work. I don't really do much work, kind of just talking to a mic. But I just make this and I don't get anything back from y'all, I guess. That sounds really greedy, like I'm requiring something from y'all. But it's more just the fact that I want to have, like, I want to know your guys' thoughts that I can make this better for y'all. For instance, if you don't like something that I say, something that I do, or like a way that this tends to go, then I could take that into consideration. Future episodes, I might change that. As of right now, I'm pretty happy with the way that this is turning out. I like the way the episodes are going. I like the fact that I'm able to convey a good amount of thoughts per episode. I know this episode I didn't really get that many thoughts out in hindsight, but I mean, sometimes it's good to just have a little 15-20 minute sit down session where you kind of just talk about life. I think that's really important to do. I feel like a lot of people tend to not do that, and they tend to shove stuff under the carpet, which may be a big reason for why some things are the way they are in society today. I'm not going to get into that right now because I feel like that's something that I could dedicate an entire episode to, and I think it would be really cool to have a guest on for. But I feel like there's so much that people don't do, and it causes for some of the major issues with society, that if people would just talk about it, such as mental health. I know some people, just gonna leave that out there, some people tend to not want to talk about mental health. They think that it's taboo. I think I'm using that word right. Am I using that word right? Say, tell me if I'm using it right or not. But I don't know. People just don't like talking about mental health. But I feel like if we talk about mental health, it's helpful. Because I know for me, just being able to talk about things that are going on makes it a whole lot better. And I feel like if this is just my opinion, I'm just gonna throw that out there. This is my opinion on the subject. But I feel like if we normalize talks about mental issues such as depression, anxiety, and all that, then we can really make some good leeway with helping. I wouldn't say find a cure, because there might not be a way to cure that, but I feel like there would be more substantial help in being able to find a way to remedy it, I guess you could say. um I'm going to be honest, sometimes I speak and I don't know if the words I'm using are the right words that I want to convey. Because the weird thing is, I don't think my mouth is actually connected to my mind. So I'll be thinking something and my mouth will struggle so hard to get it out. Like in my head, I know exactly what I want to say, how I want to say it, why I want to say it. And like I can have it perfectly laid out in my head. The second my mouth opens, it's still in my mind, but my mouth decides that it just doesn't want to do that. I'm just like, dude, look, we have got to get on some sort of wavelength where you're understanding what I'm wanting and I'm understanding what you're wanting. Because right now, that isn't happening, little guy. But yeah. If you want to hear me talk about mental health in a future episode, go ahead and say that in a review. Like I said, you can either DM it to @thoughtspod, POD, on Instagram. You can DM it there. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you can go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section down below about if you want to hear me talk about that. I have a few friends who I think have some really good insight on that, and I think the way the format of these episodes are set up, I could actually get a few of them once, so that would be something really cool. If there are any other topics that you want to hear me talk about, just in general, any hot topics that you're kind of interested in, go ahead and say that in the comment section as well, or in a DM, whichever way you're choosing for this. And also, make sure that you say how you're listening to this. If you're listening to this on Spotify, if you're listening on Overcast on YouTube, make sure you add that so I can know how I am best reaching all y'all. Anywho, I think that's going to be where I end off today's episode. If you enjoyed, that makes me happy. Let me know. However you want to let me know. DM, as I said. I have said DM way too much in like the last minute. I really am sorry for that. My mind gets a little confuzzled, as I mentioned. I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point. I'm going to go ahead and end this. Thanks for listening, you guys. My name is Caleb, and I'll see you all next week for the next episode of Thoughts.